Hello and welcome back to another scary story. I don't really have a name for this series yet. We're working on that. But I will be eventually going live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of this while I'm recording these live, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And check me out on Twitch. Links in the description below. And then that way you don't ever miss it. Because honestly, I feel like I need to experience this with other people. And I think it would make it really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I think the experience would be pretty sick. But I wanted to get some episodes out there so then we could get the channel rolling. So we're just back at it with another scary story. I'm recording this on a Sunday. It is 9:30 in the morning. I'm ready to get scared. Hug me. Today we are reading a story by Danny with the Vibes. And that story is called Heaven to Touch. Now, the name sold me, honestly. It looked pretty cool. And it looks like it's kind of like a broadcast style. So, all in all, the plot, from what I could, I skimmed through a little bit, just like the beginning. It looked really cool. I'm very excited for it, and I hope you guys are too. So, we're just going to go ahead and dive deep into this. Heaven's Touch. And if we have time, we'll read another one by Danny. Once again, we have the amazing 11 reader that is going to be reading to us in a beautiful narrated voice. So sit back, grab some snacks, and let's enjoy the story. Let's go.
Our live Heaven to Touch. A transcript of BCR live broadcast November 27th, 2011. That was Firework by Katy Perry on 96.6 to Touch. A transcript of BCR live.
All right, Heaven to Touch. Let's get it.
Heaven to Touch. A transcript of BCR live broadcast November 27th, 2011. That was Firework by Katy Perry on 96.7 BCR, playing the hottest hits at your request. Tonight we have a few listener submissions that I'd like to read to you. Tonight's pick is allegedly part of an ongoing police investigation.
Oh, going hard.
I gotta say these things to keep my job, but here is a little secret. Even though I've read and seen some weird things, this had even me raising my brows. So as you cook dinner, or if you're listening on the ride home, if you're driving past our small little town and pick us up on the radio, you might want to listen in because this one's a doozy.
Sorry to cut this off right away, but I'm not gonna lie. I've wanted to become a radio broadcaster. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was one of those when I got out of high school. I was like, what do I want to do? It's like I enjoy talking into a microphone. I wanted to go get a job at the radio station, but I got nervous and I never did it. But I may swing back into it. Maybe. It looks a lot of fun. I don't know what it is. Just talking into a mic. Like that's what I do now. Yeah, I mean, right now we're listening to scary stories. It just sounds fun. Sorry. I wanted to share that.
Say when you fall in love, it's like you hear music in the air. Well, that's not how I felt. I was hot. In a crowded, loud restaurant with waiters running around left and right. On my third date with some guy who was loudly talking about how much money he makes. He was unimpressive online and pathetic in person, and while he kept boasting to the unimpressed waitress, I realized he only 3 topics of conversation. How much money he has, why crypto is the future, and what the possibility of us fucking tonight was. In his words, I know you women have that third date rule. I really didn't give a fuck about him, but after 2 dates and 20 voicemails, with him begging to see me again.
20 voicemails? 20 voicemails? I mean, at what point will he get the hit? Jeez.
Easy to be with. Whatever the fuck that meant. Here I was. I knew I didn't like him, but a free meal is a free meal. It was a cold, dark night. The sound of my heels clicking sounded off the pavement. Wanting to get home as soon as possible, I cut through Angeles Park. My thoughts floated back to my date as I made my way through the playground. I was upset. What should have been a romantic walk home was now a speed walk in the dark. I mean, I'm a 33-year-old single woman with a great job, my own home, and no kids. And what's my prize? Dates with every Tom, Dick, and Brandon who can't finish a conversation without looking at another woman's tits.
Damn.
Putting myself through dating hell to make a dead woman happy. Out of everything she could have asked on her deathbed. Don't disappoint me again. Find a good husband. Thinking about her words angered me even more. She always held me to a different standard than my brother, but those were her dying words to a 15-year-old. I knew what she meant. Don't be alone for the rest of your life, but it cut deep. Weren't my accomplishments enough? I was deep in my thoughts when a white flash shot in front of my eyes. Confused, I looked around, then I looked up for a moment, wondering if it was lightning. I felt myself die a little on the inside.
Oh.
Just what I needed. Rain. And after I just got my hair done too. I picked up the pace, trying to get out of the park and to my building, when I noticed something odd. The statue that normally adorned the fountain in the middle of the park was gone. I looked at the empty space for a moment. I felt uncomfortable as a thought crept into my mind. A memory. My mom, my brother, and I at this very park. I remembered playing on the swings. I saw myself jumping off the highest point, but I didn't land. I fell on the ground face first. I heard it before I felt it. A crack on the side of my head and the feeling of blood running down my face.
Oh.
I looked around for my mom and my brother, but they were gone. I cried. Loud, shrieking sobs begging for my mommy. When she finally did come, she didn't rush over. She didn't check on me to see if I was okay. She scowled at me and told me, "Stop being dramatic, it's just a scratch." I felt her roughly grab my arm and drag me away. "You are such an attention seeker. Just wait till we get home." The whole ride home, she ignored me. She just kept talking to my brother like I wasn't there. Suddenly, a throbbing headache rang in my head. The air around me felt fuzzy, and my mouth felt dry as my eyes struggled to focus. Did that fucking creep slip me something?
Uh-oh.
Another flash of lightning burst in front of me. My head felt like it was spinning. I was disoriented.
I would imagine she was drugged, maybe. I'm wondering about this whole statue thing. Like, the statue just disappeared. Like, what does that mean? I mean, I guess it disappeared, but like, okay.
Struggling to find my footing. My heels wobbling on the ground beneath me. I almost walked into another flash of light. It was too close for comfort. The air around me was getting thick and hot as it flashed in front of my eyes. I swear I saw something, but it was too fast for my brain to register. I started walking faster when a sound came from behind me. My feet still tumbling on one another as my brain and heart pounded in my ears. The park lights started exploding, going out one by one and leaving me in darkness.
Oh my gosh.
I ran. There was a steady rumbling behind me, like stone on pavement. It shook both the ground and air. I ran as fast as I could until I made it out of the park. I refused to look behind me.
Okay, are we going to assume here that the statue itself was chasing her? Is the statue a serial killer? that I'm not gonna lie, biggest fear, walking alone, and you just hear something behind you, and it makes you like your adrenaline shoot a little bit, so you start walking faster, and you still think it's right there, so you just start dead sprinting. That is the worst fear ever. All right, back to the story. Sorry, side tangent.
The entirety of the run home, I felt someone watching me, but I didn't turn around to see who or what it was. When I finally made it to my apartment, I kept the lights off and covered all the windows with curtains. As I closed the last window, something caught my eye. At the top of the building across the street, a large, pale, angelic figure. It was glowing under the large moon. I stared at it for a moment when my stomach began to lurch. My eyes went wide as I realized what it was and shut the blinds. The next morning, I woke up surprisingly chipper, momentarily forgetting last night's events.
Definitely the statue.
I'd slept the best I'd slept in months. I realized I even had time to stop at the coffee shop before I went to work. When I walked down the street, I felt different. The air felt fresher. The world looked so vibrant. I felt like I was floating in the air.
Uh-oh.
I even found myself humming a little tune as I walked into the coffee shop.
Uh-oh.
It was busy when I walked in. As I waited in line, the smell of roasted beans and baked goods filled the air around me. The speakers were quietly playing Frank Valli's "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" in the background. I smiled to myself. What a cute coincidence.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say.
what I was humming on my way here. The boy at the counter looked exhausted, heavy bags under his eyes. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Not really a shock, though everyone knew about his dad's sudden illness. I'd be exhausted if I were him. Balancing college and running a whole store at the same time while taking care of my dad. I gave him a smile as I ordered and tipped him $5. I stepped off to the side to wait for my order. I watch as people come in and out of the coffee shop while I wait for my food. When in walks the most handsome man I'd ever seen. Tall, with green eyes and curly dark hair. The way he walked got my attention. Head held high and confident, smiling as he walked up to the counter and put in his order. A strong arm handed the barista his card. I realized I'd been staring too long when he locked eyes with me. My face flushed red as I looked away.
Uh-oh.
I looked out the side of my eyes, pretending I was on my phone. Everyone else faded out of the way when he moved over to the pickup area. My heart beat in time to the song playing on the speakers. Dum, 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 dum. There it was. Clear as day, that melody they speak of. The world got quiet. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. Kelsey, right? Said the man as he approached. Huh, I said, coming back down to earth. He laughed. You live in the Riverside Apartments, right? I nodded, taken aback by his deep voice.
Okay, first off, how does he know that? I mean, I guess he's about to give us a good explanation here. But I'm still stuck on believing this man is the giant statue. He's going to say, I've been watching you for all this time. You've been mistreated by all these men. Let this statue carry you away. That's what's going to happen.
Sorry, is that weird? I wasn't trying to be creepy. He said confidently, I'm Jason. I've seen you in the lobby.
Oh, okay.
He said, taking a cursory glance down my body and licking his lips.
Ah,
I live on the 5th floor.
what?
He says, flashing me a grin.
We're just going to go
I
past
felt
that?
like we were the only people here. If this handsome stranger says we've seen each other, who am I to correct him? Oh yeah, I've seen you before, I said convincingly. So, that's you? He trailed off, a brow raised. I looked at him for a moment when it hit me. Yeah, Kelsey. That's... me. I laughed nervously before clearing my throat. That's me, I repeated, mentally face-palming myself. He looked at me for a moment, deeply gazing into my eyes. Was this it? Could it be love at first sight?
No.
I hope you don't find this strange, but ever since I saw you this morning, I can't get you out of my head. I was wondering if I could take you out, he asked. I thought for a moment.
You shitting me?
Before I could answer, my name was called. My food was ready. How about this? I said, picking up a napkin and pulling a pen out of my bag to write down my number. Text me, I said, giving him the napkin, then quickly grabbing my tea and croissant, heading off before I was late for work. The rest of the day was normal, yet that feeling of walking on air intensified.
Ooh, sorry.
And I found myself humming that song around the office. We texted all day and made plans to hang out later that night. Each message, each laugh, each flirtation raised the proverbial volume in my head. I felt electric, almost like every piece of me, even the air, was full of static. You'd be like heaven to touch. I want to hold you so much, at long last love has arrived.
Bro, they just met each other and getting coffee, and they saw each other occasionally in the lobby. Like, get the F out. This is a red flag. Big red flag if I've ever seen one.
I felt nervous as I got ready. Giddy, even. I mean, this guy was hot, and he seemed cool. I looked at myself in the mirror as I did the last few touches to my outfit. I look good. Not too covered, not too slutty. The Samantha Jones special, I thought, as I walked over to the vanity to put on some perfume. As I finished getting ready, it occurred to me, what if tonight was the night I made my mom happy? Don't disappoint me again. Find a good husband.
Bruh, they're not getting
Her
married
words rang
off
through
the
my head
rip.
yet again, this time reaching over the song that had been stuck in my mind all day. It sent a cold chill down my spine. Don't be alone for the rest of your life, my subconscious repeated. The room started getting brighter as my mom's voice echoed in my head. I looked around in confusion as the light bulbs on my vanity got so bright I could hardly look at them.
Uh-oh.
Then the light next to my mirror burst. I jumped, turning to look at the lamp. As I got up, the vanity lights followed after it, one after another until the only working light left was the one in the living room. I had a flashback to last night, the park. The streetlights burst the exact same way. I felt my head start throbbing. I put my hand on my head, trying to dull the pain. I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths. Everything's going to be okay, I thought to myself. When I opened my eyes, I screamed. A statue version of my mom stood behind me. Pale and tall, it loomed over me.
What?
It looked just like her, but with some slight differences. The longer I stared, I noticed how her features were slightly off. They looked like they were sliding off her face. They moved slowly and would snap back up like it were tracking my eye movements. I looked behind me, but there was nothing there. When I turned back, she stood closer.
Oh, gosh.
Almost expressionless. I could feel the heat of her stone body radiating on my back. And her face. She had that big, ugly scowl. I'd seen that look many times before. It's the same face she'd make when I'd get in trouble as a child. The same face she had in her hospital bed. She stood still, looking directly at me. Her features slowly began to shift and merge one on top of the other. I stared at her in the mirror. When I heard her voice in my ear, "Your brother was always the better listener,"
Oh, yo.
she said in a sickeningly sweet whisper. I felt anger rise in me. I threw the perfume bottle I held in my hand, making the mirror shatter in front of me. I had no doubt I was imagining things. I was stressed and nervous, that's all.
Yeah,
Two
that's
highly
all.
conflicting emotions making me see things that aren't there. Yet as I looked at the shattered glass on the floor, a part of me knew I should be scared, but I wasn't. All I felt was anger. I saw her looking at me in the broken pieces. Different angles of her marbled face stared at me, all with different versions of that scowl. I ran out of my apartment, locking the door behind me and taking a moment to catch my breath, when a message popped up on my phone. Waya?
I knew it. I knew it wasn't gonna be able to say where you at. Oh my gosh. I saw where you at, the WYA text, and I'm like, is this going to be able to say what it is? Oh, that's hilarious. But okay, so that's very interesting that we got a statue. This guy is definitely the statue from the park, but I'm just interested in, like, is this like a style of demon that turns, like, uses statues to like scare you or like to have you fear them? Because the statue man, because when they were running after her in the park, you heard like it was a stone on stone style, like it was loud. So that was definitely the statue, 100%. I'm getting my haircut Tuesday. This is awful. I've never had my hair this long. I don't know what to do with it, so I apologize. But anyway, yeah, no, it's clearly something with that because the mom being a statue right behind her. I love it. This is a fun story so far. I'm all here for it. If I can figure out what to do with my hair. Oh, that was awful. I could just put it in my hat, but I don't want to. But no, obviously something to do with the statue. Very interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to see where this would go, but I'm kind of stumped. I don't know where this is going to go. Besides probably like, yo, you could be with me forever. I just got to turn you into a statue. We got to do this ritual that turns you into a statue for eternity. You know, that's probably, honestly, that's going to be my guess. Because, I don't know. It's very interesting. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan right now, and I'm having fun.
I looked down at my phone and I felt myself calm down. A huge smile spread on my lips as our song began playing in my head once more.
Here we go.
OMW.
On my way.
Pardon the way that I stare. There's nothing else to compare. I made my way upstairs. I smoothed my dress down before knocking on his door. It felt like hours before he opened it. I found myself humming absent-mindedly as I waited. My mom's words were still running through my head, her disappointed face popping through white flashes every time I blinked. but I knew I was doing the right thing. When he opened the door, the world stopped. I felt short of breath. He looked perfect. Frank Valley's voice floated out of his apartment. I smiled at him, feeling nervous and excited. I wondered if he'd had the song stuck in his head all day, too. "Come in, you look beautiful." "Thank you," I said as I stepped in. "I've had this song stuck in my head all day, too." He looked at me for a moment like he was confused, but he smiled as he closed the door behind me. When I stepped inside, it was small. I felt slightly disappointed. I had thought he was distinguished and tasteful, the type to have artwork on his walls and leather couches, with
Is
whiskey
it a
and
mess?
oak-scented candles. Yet before me was a ceiling-to-floor collection of Funko Pops.
What? Holy shit. What? That threw me off. I mean, I have Funko Pops, but they're not Florida's. What? Is he a nerd? He's a little fucking muscular nerd. He's like Henry Cavill.
It was messy and cramped, a pile of dirty clothes lazily tucked away in the closet. Posters of over-sexualized anime girls stared me down. The carpet was stained, making crunching sounds as I walked. I tried to hide my disgust when he invited...
The carpet made crunchy noise. Yo, is this a Discord moderator? Don't worry, kitten. I've got you. You're my princess now. Gosh, this story became 10 out of 10 right there. Holy shit.
invited me to sit on the sagging beige futon with questionable stains. My head was still throbbing, and the smell made it worse. The melody that's been playing so freely in my mind began to slow and distort. I could feel my mom's words taking over. "Don't disappoint me again. Find a good husband." A part of me felt like she was still with me, watching, waiting. I put my hand to my head, feeling woozy. No, I told myself. Give him a chance. Maybe he's just messy. I mean, who isn't?
I don't know. I've never met a single person who had a crusty rug.
I straightened myself out, putting a smile on my face. I've been through worse. I can handle it.
Ah!
We sat awkwardly watching some sort of anime.
Oh, of course.
I noticed
This
there's
is a
some pizza
Discord
on the coffee
moderator.
table, but it was cold. Flies were flying around it. I guess he noticed me looking at it because he promptly got up and closed the lid. "Sorry, I forgot I left this out. You're not hungry, right?" he asked, obviously expecting me to say no. I let him know I had already eaten and watched as he got up to put it away. When he came back, he sat closer to me this time.
Uh-oh.
He smelled musty, like he hadn't showered since this morning, and covered it up with body spray.
I don't know about you guys. Let me know. Haven't showered since this morning. I mean, I guess then that's a full day. Okay, never mind.
We talked. I realized how often his eyes drifted down to my chest, and how his sweaty hands kept accidentally rubbing on my thighs.
Oh.
I rolled my eyes internally, moving over slightly, trying to not make it obvious. "So, what do you like to do?" I asked awkwardly. He grinned and looked me up and down again. "I make body art." And as he droned on, and I started feeling...
Bro, this is a wild thought. Just imagine. He makes body art, so he makes the statues. What if the statues? Now hear me out. Crusty statues. You get what I'm putting down? Oh my god, this story's actually getting better. Don't mind me, I'm crying.
feeling like I was being separated from my body. I felt the cold grip of my mother's stone hands on my arms like she was pushing me away. His words became muffled and slow, like pressing down on a vinyl. I felt the twinge of static in the air. "You know, I wouldn't mind us turning your body into a painting," he says, leaning in to kiss me.
Oh my gosh.
I tried to back up, but I couldn't. There was nowhere for me to go.
Oh no.
This was wrong. This was all wrong. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. My senses went into overdrive when he kissed me. It was like I was shot out of my body, like two mousetraps finally being ripped apart. I heard 1,000 thoughts echoing through my head, all in her voice. My mom wouldn't want this for me. More importantly, I don't want this for me. Then I heard a familiar melody come from the TV. I love you, baby. And if it's quite all right, I'll love you, baby. Trust in me when I say, sang my mom's voice. Her mouth wasn't moving. As she kept going, I felt her heavy hands dig deeper into my arm, pushing me down. I felt cold all over. I felt like a little kid again. I look over to the TV and see the same statue I saw on 2 of the building.
Oh.
The same one that was in my room. Mother's face. The images flurried in back and forth, its features converging into one.
Okay, hang on. Can I turn this off?
The one thing I could never get rid of. That disgusting scowl, I felt my body start shaking. Not out of fear, but anger. A heat rushed over me like that night at the park. I couldn't push Jason off me.
Uh-oh.
He was too heavy, and I couldn't look away from the TV. It was all too much. I felt like I was being pushed out of my body as I began to feel my mind break, cracking into little pieces just like that fucking mirror. The volume on the TV seemed to rise as her voice carried through. If Jason noticed it, he didn't mention it as his sloppy wet lips kept attacking mine.
Ah!
Jason got off me once he noticed my shaking. I felt a hot liquid trickle down my nose and my eyes rolling back.
Yo!
How embarrassing. Now Jason was freaking out. I couldn't hear him, but I could see him moving around frantically.
Oh.
He ran out of the room into the kitchen area. Everything goes quiet. Pure silence. I felt disconnected, like a passenger in my own body with no space to breathe. Everything in me felt cramped and hot. I knew I wasn't in control. My brain felt crowded. Thoughts, memories, emotions. That damn song. They had nowhere to go as they became a jumbled mess in my mind. Slowly realized I had no control over my limbs as I watched through my own eyes how I began to sit up. I felt numb all over. Following him to the kitchen, I moved silently like I was floating through the air.
Oh my gosh.
I watched as I crept into the kitchen. His back was turned to me as he called 911.
What happened?
He spoke in a panicked tone. I didn't make a sound. I watched on as I picked up his cast iron from the counter. I barely felt it in my hand as I raised it over and whacked him on the back of the head until he passed out. He fell with a loud thud. When I looked back up, I looked up and saw the statue of my mother. Her mouth, which now hung at an unnatural angle, unmoving as she spoke. This is for your own good.
What the hell is happening?
For the past hour, it felt like everything that had happened was a vague hallucination. Like I was sleepwalking with my eyes open. But I knew it was all real.
Is she a statue?
Help! Jason screamed from the other room. He sat in his living room tied to a chair. Hey, Kristen, please, come on, let me go. I promise this will stay between us. I won't tell anyone, he said pleadingly. I knew I should feel bad, but I didn't. I just felt anger. I didn't even care he'd called me the wrong name. It barely registered. I just watched as my body stared a deep-set scowl on my face. I watched myself stand up and walk over to him. His eyes trailed after my movements. It seems like our time has come to an end, I said. But the voice that spoke, it wasn't mine. It was stern and commanding like my mother's.
Okay, so the mother possessed her body, is what I'm getting. I'm confused if maybe the mother saw. Maybe this guy was chasing her in the park, and the mother is protecting her. I guess that's a good idea. I feel like so. If I'm not mistaken here, I'm getting a little ahead. The mother possessed her body and is now going to kick the shit out of this gooner. Okay.
Felt like a puppet as I was forced to speak. Every word painfully yanked out of my mouth. I pulled up my phone. It was connected to the speaker. You know I can't seem to get the song out of my head. It's my favorite, I said, my mom's voice ringing through the air in sharp contrast to my own. The words sounded unnatural coming from my throat. It sounded fake, jarring. I pressed play. Jason's face was pale and nervous. Please just stop. What did I do?
What do you mean?
My body turned to look at him. You didn't do anything. But you would have. Every word sounded unnatural coming from my lips. Everything felt dreamlike and hazy as I watched myself raise the volume on my phone.
Oh
Every
no.
movement felt unnatural, like two bodies trying to occupy the same space. I walked around him, pulling his head back, prying his mouth open and stuffing a crusty old sock in his mouth.
Oh.
I heard him gag at the taste. I stepped away for a moment, making my way back to the kitchen. As a pot boiled on the stove. I don't even remember her doing this.
What are we doing?
The smell of cleaning products filled the air. The memory of Saturday morning cleanings came to my head. Except the smell was so potent, it was making my eyes tear up. I felt my arm being guided to grab the pot. I walked back to the living room, pot in hand. The metal made my skin blister as it burned me.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't care. I barely felt it anyways. He was crying by this point. Tears and snot streamed down his face. He didn't look so handsome now. He watched my every movement. Choked, muffled sobs rang in the air, but I could barely make them out through the loud music. He was so helpless. I picked up my arm and used it to push a funnel into his mouth, moving the sock to the side of his cheek.
Oh my
Putting a soup ladle into the
gosh.
concoction, I began to pour the boiling hot liquid down his throat. He tried to scream, but it came out more as a gurgle.
Bro.
He had no choice but to swallow as I force-fed him. He squirmed and writhed in the chair as steam began coming out of his mouth. But that wasn't enough. She made me keep pouring the boiling hot liquid down his throat. His body shaking now, his knuckles turning white from gripping the chair so hard. With every spoonful, I felt myself start to smile, my hand being pushed back into the pot, boiling him alive from the inside, but I don't stop. I couldn't stop. Not now. I watched on until he was not able to make another sound, until his face was blue, until I saw the light leave his eyes.
Okay. That I think the mom's fucking crazy. I mean, yes. He definitely could have led to something, but by God, this is a little much. I'm not gonna lie. He was taking advantage completely of her, and it's not cool. I would have preferred if he just got his ass kicked. I don't know about murdered, but that that was awful.
A warmth ran out my body, and it's like everything was in focus again. That hazy feeling was gone. All my emotions came crashing down at once. I looked at my hand, and the skin was basically gone. Some of it had melted onto the pot and peeled off when I withdrew my hand. I was in control again. I looked at Jason, and my heart dropped to my ass. I looked at his dead body. My shaking hand covers my mouth. Reality dawns on me as I realize what happened. The air felt cold. I felt like I'd just been punched in the stomach. I looked around, grabbed my things, and ran out of his apartment. I heard the song trailing after me as I ran down to my apartment, quickly grabbing my first aid kit and wrapping up my hand. Then I grabbed all the important things: money, passport, and extra clothes. I ran out of the building and to my car, quickly turning the key and driving off. Red and blue flashing lights drove past me as I left.
Oh my gosh.
I drove in silence for what felt like hours before I decided to head out of town. As I arrived at the outskirts of town, the radio switched on. That goddamn song again. I turned off the radio, but it switched on again. This time, blaring through my speakers. The radio jumped through different stations that played the same song. I love you, baby. I heard my mother's voice say through the speakers. It took me by surprise when I looked down at the radio and realized it was never on. I felt my tears fill my eyes. I'm losing it. I'm fucking losing it, I screamed, banging my hands on the steering wheel, pain shooting up my arm. I looked down at it for a moment. When I look back up at the road, I see it. The statue, except this time it's at its full size, no longer wearing Mother's face, but its own. Its features shifting so fast it was hard to recognize what I was looking at. Before I could hit the brakes, I crashed into it. Pieces of debris flew all around me as my mom's voice echoed through my head. This is for your own good. When I woke up, I was in Aaron Williams Memorial Hospital, surrounded by officers and a few broken bones. And yet even as I sit here in a room full of people, I know I'm still being watched, still being monitored. A nurse said there was a gift left for me, and she pointed to the bedside table. Someone brought me a small angel figurine. When I look at it, I see my mother. I see a scowl. I see all her disappointments. I know I'll make her proud someday, but for now I'll just keep an eye out for my doctor. He's a very handsome man.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, hang on. It's almost done. We can't see it because I don't know why it does this, but hang on.
Well, that was heavy, am I right? It took a little longer to get through than I had hoped, so that's all the time we have for tonight. This is 96.7 BCR, and I hope you're ready for an hour of uninterrupted ad-free music.
And there you have it. That was Heaven to Touch. Wow. That was pretty good. I had a lot of fun with that. I'm not going to lie. I truly enjoyed that story. That was pretty good. So all my guesses were wrong. It seemed like the mother came down, and I mean, I feel like that situation with the guy was going to lead to something much worse. So the mother stepped in, possessed her body, and it just, boiled that guy. That was honestly the wildest kill I've ever heard in a story. I'm not going to lie. So, Danny, yeah, it is Danny. Danny with the vibe so far leads at number 1 best kill in a story on the series. We're just going to put that on the board. Congrats, Danny. The best kill I've seen or I've read in a story. Hands down, that was a fun story. I'm not going to lie. I keep saying that. I think it was well written. Short and sweet. I think that's the best part is short and sweet. It made sense to where you were like, I was a little confused there at the beginning, but then it was like, oh, the mother just is like taking the form of the statue and is like looking after her, trying to get to her. I believe she wrecked into the car on purpose to get her to the hospital for her hands, probably. I mean, enough said. That was a fun story. Again, check out Danny DeVibes. Links in the description below. I feel like we have time for another story by Danny. This next story by Danny. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The story is called I Can't Sleep Anymore. He stands in the yard watching.
I can't sleep anymore. He stands in the yard watching. When I first moved here 4 months ago, I would go out to get a breath of fresh air whenever I couldn't sleep at night. I have insomnia.
Okay. Wild start. I was going to say, I could not go outside in the middle of the night. Nope, you could not pay me enough. It's scary. I don't like it. I'm terrified. But insomnia, kind of wild.
Here in Black Creek, the streets are dead by 10 p.m. It starts to feel like you're the only person alive. Sometimes I'll walk to my backyard and look at the sky and watch the stars. Truly, there's no place like Black Creek, the stars are so clear. Where I'm from, even in its quietest hours, there were always people outside or cars passing, groups of people hanging out. There were bodegas, and the streets were well lit. You never felt alone even if you were by yourself. Recently, though, I've noticed something odd. A man.
A man?
6 feet, 7 inches, black hair, light skin, wearing a white button-up, black slacks, and dress shoes. Your average corporate type.
Oh.
I'll see him walking down my street. It's always at the same weird hours, 2, sometimes 3 in the morning.
Oh, I'm terrified.
I've only ever seen him at night. When we moved here, my parents made sure to meet all our neighbors because you never know when you might need some neighborly help.
True.
Which I thought was bullshit because my parents were anti-neighbors when we lived in the city. But I never saw him. I even walked around my area during the day, talking to my neighbors and asking if they'd seen anything odd. Of course, most of them said they're asleep at that hour. And outside of the stray cats, possums, and deer, nobody had anything to say about a man walking down the street at 2 a.m. Nevertheless, I found it odd how he'd always be out at the same time as me, walking the same side of the street.
He's trying to tell you
always
something.
Wearing the same thing, no matter the weather. I can't ever make out his face. It feels hidden, I guess. He's always facing forward and just slightly passing my house when I see him. A part of me feels like it's on purpose. Like he doesn't want me to see his face, but he does want me to know he's here. On the other hand, I am a woman who purposely goes out late at night because I find...
Oh, this is a woman? Uh-oh. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on, guys. Just a moment.
Find it comforting. With that said, Who's to say I'm not just being paranoid?
All right, we're good to go.
After all, you never know who's out in these streets, no matter how calm they are. Maybe that sense of anxiety is just because I don't want to interact with anyone. That moment where my vision gets blurry if I look at him too long is just because I sit too close to the computer and it's messing with my eyes. But tonight, after a particularly bad fight with my boyfriend, I can't sleep. I've got too much on my mind. I laid in bed for hours, trying my best to fade away into an incoherent dream, but it never came. So I grabbed my jacket and decided to go walk the anxiety out.
How do you have the capability at 2 a.m. to go on a walk down your neighborhood? It's Sunday, so I can't try that tonight because I have to go to work tomorrow. But maybe I'll try it and see what happens. Maybe I'll take my dogs for a walk at 2 in the morning. Could you imagine? Oh my gosh. I'm terrified to even do that, but I might do it now. We might do it.
Breathe in some of the cool, fresh air and relax my mind. I grabbed my keys and headed out. I was looking at my phone, trying to find a good song to play as I walked down the driveway.
Ooh, that's
When I looked up
scarier.
to the street, there he was, standing perfectly still in the middle of the road, looking at my neighbor's house, seemingly unaffected by the early winter winds. Everything was still, like the wind purposely avoided touching even a hair on his head. He looked the same as every other time I saw him. Yet this is the first time I've seen him up close. I noticed how his shoes were worn and breaking, his slacks had holes in them, and his shirt was messy, slightly torn, and covered in different colored stains. And the smell, I don't even know what to say. He smelled like a bloated corpse. The stench was so strong it wafted to the sidewalk.
This is a dead man.
It felt like time stood still, and my eyes were having a hard time adjusting to the man that stood before me. That's when I realized it wasn't my eyes. It was the street lamps. They were dimming, like the darkness itself was eating away at the glow they emitted. The breeze started to pick up.
Uh-oh.
I knew I should have turned my ass right around and just gone back into the house. In the pit of my stomach, I felt uneasy, like a deer in headlights. I was nervous to make any sudden moves, afraid he'd turn around and see me.
Uh-oh.
But it was getting darker by the second as
Uh-oh.
every streetlight on my street kept getting more and more faint.
You just
I
start
turned to
running.
look at my porch light, and sure enough, it barely lit up my car. When I looked back at the man, he was facing me.
Ah!
And not only was he facing me, but I watched as his face shifted.
Oh, gosh.
That's the only way I can describe it. Hundreds of features shifting from one to the other, moving so fast you could barely make them out at all. My eyes went wide as I realized his body was still facing my neighbor's house. I took a step back, trying to slowly back myself into my house. I could barely see the house next to mine. I could only make out a few feet ahead of me. As I took another step back, his body turned to face me. I could hear his neck cracking and popping into place. I took another step back as he began to walk toward me.
Oh, gosh.
The darkness followed him, snuffing out the streetlights, leaving only my porch light left as I started running back up my driveway. He was hidden in the darkness, but I could feel hundreds of eyes watching me.
Oh, gosh.
I reached the screen door, throwing it open and putting my keys in to unlock the door. But the stink of death surrounded me as
Why
two
did you lock
impossibly
it?
strong arms grabbed me and tried to drag me from my door. His hand gripped my arm, yanking me so hard I felt like it was going to come out of the socket. All I could think was, I don't know where this thing is going to take me, but I'm not going with it. I stabbed my keys into its arm as hard as I could, and the man screamed. It sounded like different people being told to scream as loudly as they could,
Like a
the
little
sound
hive mind.
rapidly shifting in his vocal cords. The man threw me to the ground, and I hit my head on something hard. I felt something warm dripping down my neck as he started punching me as hard as he could, screaming and shouting maniacally. Drops of hot, sticky saliva landed on my face as I took blow after blow. I couldn't see him. All the light was gone except the lights in my house. I tried not to make any movement, hoping, praying he'd just leave me alone. But instead he grabbed me by my hair and started dragging me off. I felt lightheaded and faint. I couldn't see anything except the lights in the house, which
Yeah.
were dimming too. I refused to give up.
That's good.
I felt my hand brush up against something wet and hard. A rock. I grabbed it and twisted my body, my back scraping on the ground. I felt his grip tightening on my hair. I tried to steady myself, take deep breaths, and concentrate that I couldn't fuck this up. I could still feel the warm blood dripping down my neck. With my other hand, I brought my arm back and bashed the rock into his wrist. I heard a crack coming from
Let's
it, so I
go.
quickly brought my arm back again and smashed the rock into his wrist again. This time he let go and I ran. I couldn't see my house, but I knew where it was.
Go.
I ran so fast I tripped up the stairs and slammed my head into the door.
Oh.
I heard him running fast behind me as I felt for the handle and opened the door, closing it just in time. I pushed up against the door, feeling around for the locks as that thing slammed its body into the door, pounding and kicking it like a wild animal.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know when he left or when he stopped. I just remember waking up the next morning on the floor, my jacket ripped and covered in scrapes and blood. My mom's worried face when she asked me what happened. Seeing the blood on the driveway made me feel nauseous. I didn't tell her. I didn't think she would believe me. I didn't think anyone would. I haven't been out at night. I haven't left the house in weeks out of fear that I'll see him again. Sometimes I notice the lights dimming in my room, and I know he's passing by. Other times I see his ever-shifting face when I close my eyes, hear the screams echo in my mind. Last night, though, something felt different. When the lights dimmed and kept getting darker and darker, I ran upstairs and looked out the living room window. There he was standing in the front yard, looking right at me. As the light got darker and darker,
Ah. There we go. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. And that was I Can't Sleep Anymore. He stands in the yard watching. That was fun. That was a fun read. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty cool. And I believe this was Danny's first story posted on the Reddit page because when I'm on their page and that's the very first thing they posted 142 days ago. Great start, Danny. Holy crap. That was really good. Really good, not gonna lie. Again, short and sweet episode. You can't ever go wrong with that. So yeah, be sure to go check out Danny with the Vibes down in the description below. The link to there will be there. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm looking forward to this series. It's gonna be a blast. I'm oh my god. I'm extremely looking forward to this series here. It's gonna be a blast. Hope you guys are too. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I hope by then I'll have a schedule planned out. We'll see. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.